We decided on writing the Proton story last week, and you went to see Tun M with along with Jenny, Jose, Kamaru.
Yep.
So how do you feel about Tun M?
When he talks about Proton now, he seems very pained about the whole situation. I think it's important to realize how bad shape Proton is in. They're having trouble paying their vendors, and that's really what the soft loan from the government is for.
Talking about soft loan, 1.6 billion or 1.5 billion ringgit, right? Do you think it's a bailout from the government?
It's not a bailout at this point. Really what it is, it's a stopgap measure to keep Proton afloat for the moment. Some people might say it's a bailout because it keeps Proton going. Yeah.
Now, a lot of people say that DRB HiCom is better off without Proton, right?
Yep.
So buying it, probably it was a wrong decision made back in how many years ago. So a lot of analysts actually say that Proton's earning or DRB HiCom earnings was dragged down by Proton's earnings. So do you think DRB HiCom, there's a possibility for DRB HiCom to hive off this asset?
Firstly, I don't think at that time it was a bad decision to buy Proton. For the price they paid, about 1 odd billion. Total value they paid for Proton was about 3 billion, but the value of the assets sitting inside Proton would justify that price. I think what they failed to do is do something with Proton over the past 4 years to make it operationally viable, commercially viable for them. Instead, it's just been burning about almost 2 billion worth, and that's of FY 2015.
So DRB HiCom also raised a lot of money trying to revive Proton, right?
Yep.
So what happened? What happened next? How bad is Proton right now? Looking at all the figures.
If you look at Proton's balance sheet, and this is of March 2015, they have really stretched their liquidity to the maximum. Their short-term cash flows are really stressed. They can't move their inventories, and they're struggling to pay their vendors, which is all the warning signs for a company like that.
So looking at Proton's existing assets like their plants, their factories, what kind of value can DRB HiCom still get from Proton, from National Army?
DRB could still strip the assets from Proton. They were planning to relocate all of Proton's manufacturing capacity from Shah Alam up to Tanjung Malim and redevelop the land in Shah Alam, which would have given them a gross development value of about 4 billion ringgit. So that would have been plenty of gunpowder for DRB HiCom to actually reinvent Proton and turn it around while operating on a much leaner base.
Now this is a very important question. MAA said that Proton last year sold about 102 units from 115 units a year ago. Proton needs to sell at least 8,000 to 10,000 units to break even, right? So why is Tun M still have so much faith in this company?
I think their sales in March fell to about 5,000 odd units, maybe 6,000. And they only had a market share of 11, maybe 12% in March this year. And that's like record low. That's obviously not sustainable for Proton. So they're going to have to do something drastic to turn around. Unfortunately, even in the interview, Tun says he can't see a way for Proton to turn around because Malaysians simply do not want to buy the car, despite the big improvements that Proton has seen over the years as a car. Yeah.
So taking a step back to the 1.6 billion soft loan, government is providing it to Proton, but this comes with a condition. And do you think, what's the odds of looking for a strategic foreign partner in this case? Because Tun M actually talked about Volkswagen, they wanted to come in to buy Proton.
Yeah.
So what's the odds of fighting one now?
I think finding a strategic foreign partner is not a challenge for Proton. I think the real challenge is getting the stakeholders involved to really agree what they want to do with Proton. Whether or not we want a national car to be owned, partially or even controlled by foreign entities. And that's something that they have to decide on.
Now, a special task force was led by Pemandu CEO Dato Sri Idris Jala, 3 from private sectors and the other 3 from public sector. So do you think it works? And what did Tun M talk about, this special task force?
I think he's dismissive of it. I think he believes that Proton's management can do something about Proton. And I think as for the task force, it's too early to say what they can and cannot do until they actually do their job.
So about Proton's car sales this year, right?
Yeah.
Have you talked to any of the industries, car analysts? what they think about this year's sales. Will it go up or will it go down? Because looking at the sales last year, it was really bad.
Yeah, I think this year is a bit different because it's the first year in I think maybe 5 years that automotive sales are actually on a sharp decline. And you know, when you're talking about shrinking pie, Proton cannot defend its market share in a growing pie. So in a shrinking pie, I think they're going to be much harder hit.
So, because Malaysia is a very small market, right? Proton needs to go out from Malaysia in order to success. Now, Malaysia currently export about 10,000 to 15,000 units a year.
Yeah.
And what did Tun M say about this export market, and how are we going to expand it?
He said it very simply that if we can't even be, we cannot conquer the local market, we can't really think about exports. We've seen in the past Proton's attempts to export have really just burn a lot of money. I think what Proton needs to really figure out is how and where its niche lies in the local market, and use that as a starting point.
For more on the stories, pick up a copy of The Edge Weekly at all good newsstands.